Hey everyone, I'm Rosie, and today I wanted to do sort of a complete step-by-step process on how I make a collage from start to finish and go into, I think, a little bit more detail than I normally do on sort of the individual steps that I do. So to start, when I sit down to make a collage, the first thing I do is take out any books or magazines that I got recently that maybe I haven't looked through a whole lot. So I have 3 National Geographics that I haven't looked through at all yet, and I have a bigger stack over there if we don't find anything we like. So the first thing I do is literally go through each page and pull out the things that I really like. So if there's any backgrounds that I like or any key subjects that I really like, I just pull out everything that piques my interest, and then we use that as a base. So I try not to pull out too many things just because I think that can be really overwhelming, but I start with the things that I really, really like. Okay, so the first thing I found that I really, really like is this really dramatic, I think this is probably a whale shark. This image is just really captivating, so I'm gonna pull this out. All right, the second thing that I found that I really like is this desert scene, and I think that this is just really cool, and there's a lot of room to maybe put something else here. So I'm gonna pull this out too. So I actually really like this hand. I think that it's kind of in a creepy position, so I'm also gonna pull this out. I don't really know why, but I just think that it's kind of in a creepy position. All right, so from that initial pass from those 3 books, these are the things that I pulled out that I really, really liked. And I don't have any super good ideas right now, but I do really think that this hand is really enticing. I think I'm gonna cut it out because I think I'm a little bit confused, like the shadow is creating, it's confusing me on what it actually looks like. So I think we should cut this out and then see if we have any ideas after that. Now that the hand is cut out, I feel like we have a much better idea of the possibilities we can do with it. So I mean, even if you just started to pair this, like it is just a creepy hand, and I'm kind of excited to do something with it. I mean, even like this, it kind of is nice next to that tree. I pulled this out because I just thought it was sort of a neutral background, and so you could have more of a focus point of something else in front of it. Now I wonder if this hand might be fun coming down from the sky picking out something, because if I found something that was like the exact width of what this hand is doing, it could be like it's lifting that thing out of the space, and that actually might be really cool. So, but I don't think anything that I pulled out of here, so this is sort of the idea, I mean, like if the hand was pulling the whale shark out of the ocean, it's kind of interesting, but well now I'm thinking, you know, this is interesting, but how can we make it one step more interesting? So what if I cut out the whale shark and moved it a little bit, but then put something behind this piece of paper, if that makes sense, to like have layers. So where it once was is a different color, so it's more obvious that the shark is like being taken out of the space. That might be interesting. But again, I don't think that either of these 3 images are sort of the right one for this hand. So let's get out some more magazines or something, or look through my other books to see if there's anything that I think might work better with this hand. So I found this picture of the Grand Canyon, and I actually think that maybe if we found something else that shouldn't be here, that it's like the hand is picking the thing out of the Grand Canyon. I think this is interesting, so I'm gonna pull this out. There's something about this cow sort of scene, this ranch with this rainbow and the guy here, and I like, part of me wants to have this hand be picking up a cow. I like that this background is a little bit more plain than the Grand Canyon one. I feel like the hand sticks out more in this, while the hand blends in a little bit, maybe too much on this one. Okay, I'm gonna pull out this one too. All right, so after going through a few more books, I think the two things that I really like that I'm sort of landed on are this ranch scene and this whale shark. So I know I only have one hand, but I think that we should do both collages with both hands and see which one we like better at the end, just because I think they both are interesting. I have this idea with the whale shark to cut him out, then move him slightly, but then put a different pattern in the background. So the negative space of where the whale shark was will be that new pattern, and maybe it will feel a little bit more like an alien hand coming down, that sort of thing, a little bit more interesting on that. And then this one, I think that because we have cows down here, I don't want to take any of the cows that are down here. I think I'm going to look through my animal book. Sorry, I'm like waving this around. I should stop doing that. I'm going to look through my other animal books to see if I can find a cow that's more this size that fits the hand, that also maybe blends in a little bit more, because I think that makes a little bit more sense visually. So I think those are the two things that we should do. So I'm going to cut this out first, and then we'll look for a background for this, but also a cow. All right, let's do those things. Oh, I don't think I mentioned the other thing that I would do. Since I ripped these out of a magazine, the edges were kind of rough. So that's what I'm doing now, is cleaning them up. And I use a ruler with a cork on the other side so it doesn't slide around so much. And I use this mat, which has a grid on it, to make sure I'm cutting straight. So if you line up one end with the grid and then the bottom with the grid, then you can use the grid lines to make sure that the line you're cutting is also straight. So very helpful. The other little minor thing I'm going to do is there's a few little parts of the background in between these fingers, and I think it will just look that much better if I cut those out. Okay, so for the background of this whale shark thing, so because I wanted to use the whale shark and the background, I had to be really careful with my cut to preserve both of those. If I didn't need the background, I would have just used scissors to cut all around all this, and I wouldn't have had to be so careful, but I really wanted to make sure this was right. Okay, so I think for the background we want something that's really colorful and textureful. So I found a few of my space books, and I think that might be the way to go. And I'm also not really sure like what this is gonna look like. I think we're really gonna have to put something back there to see if this is even gonna work. All right, so I found 3 backgrounds to try behind the shark. I think this is a picture of a star. I don't know, there's some weird galaxy thing, and then pretty typical galaxy. So let's see if any of these will work. All right, these are definitely interesting, but I'm not sure if I'm like super in love with any of them. And now that I have this all together, I'm not sure if I super love this idea to begin with. I just don't think it's quite working. There's not enough contrast between the background and the whale shark. I think that's part of the problem, is just they blend in. They're like the exact same color. And so I just don't think that this is working like I had thought maybe it would. So I think that we should put this on pause and find a cow for this one and see if we can get this collage to work. All right, luckily I found a cow that I think actually might work for this. So let's see if this works. I think he can fit in right here between the fingers. Okay. Ooh, all right. I mean, that I think kind of works. I think it's the wrong cow type, but that's okay. I think that this is weird and silly. The other thing I want to remind everyone is if you don't like where your collage is going, you don't have to settle with your art. Like, I didn't love the whale shark thing, and say I didn't really like this either. I can take this hand that I cut out and put it in a box, and in a few days when I collage again, maybe I'll find something better to use with that hand. I have a whole box of things that I've cut out and I haven't used, and so you don't feel any pressure to use that thing right then. It might work better in a situation later down the line and you'll be glad you have it then. But I actually think that this is kind of funny. I like that there's, the sky is plain in this one, so we have lots of room to do something with the hand. I think the rainbow makes it seem like it's more abducty for some reason, which I kind of like. And I just think that this is super silly. So what I would do next in terms of creating a collage is get a piece of paper. So I use white 8.5 by 11 cardstock that I glue all my collages down to. So what I would do is put this on here, make sure it fits, and that's gonna fit. And then you can use any old glue stick you want, but I use this one kind by Elmer's it's Re-Stick up to 5 minutes. So it gives you a little bit more wiggle room on your positioning. So say you don't love where something is, you can kind of lift it up and move it a little bit. So that's just the kind I use, but again, it really doesn't matter. The other thing that I do is I have a separate piece of paper that I call it a glue paper, but it's specifically for gluing on. So say once I have my collage sort of settled and I have an idea of where I want everything to go, I'll take this cow, flip them upside down, and then use the glue stick on this piece of paper so all the excess glue just goes on this paper and it will just dry, and then you re-glue on it later and it's fine. So then I would reposition again where I wanted this. And again, because this is meant to be moved around a little bit, you have wiggle room, which I like. Okay, so I like that for positioning. And now we will glue the hand down. Okay, I think that's working. So that's good. So now we have the hand and the cow in place. Then what we want to do is flip this over and glue the entire thing on our piece of paper. And what I like to do is align it to 2 edges. And so then we just have 2 edges of excess. So if I glued it in the middle, we'd have to cut and clean up 4 edges. So if we glue it on the corners, then we just have to clean up 2 edges, which is a little bit more simple. So I like to do that. The most important part is to go right up to the edges because those are sort of the weakest points. Okay, then you want to smooth it all down, make sure everything is tightly sealed. So the last thing that there's left to do is to clean up these edges. So I usually wait till my glue is a little bit more dry, but I think that it's fine if we just do it now. And we need to clean up these 2 edges. So here's the finished collage, all cleaned up. It's on nice cardstock, so it's nice and sturdy. It will last longer than if you just leave it on the flimsy magazine paper, and it looks a little bit more professional, and it's all cleaned up. So that's sort of the entire process of how I create a collage from start to finish, from no idea to finished, completely finished collage, gluing and everything. Gluing is my least favorite part. I hate doing it. I try to avoid it for as long as possible just because I find it very finicky and it's very finalizing. You know, if there's a collage I'm not quite sure about, it's very scary to glue it down because what if I hate it in a few days? So I wait as long as possible to glue, so I don't always do it in my videos because I usually don't do it for a week after I actually create it. So just a little behind the scenes tidbit about me. I hope that this sort of was informative. If you have any additional questions about my process or have any questions about other things, I'll ask them down in the comments and I'll try my best to reply to them. But that's sort of the more detailed view of every little bit of the process. So I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you next time. Bye.